3, 2, 1. Let's go. Yeah. Let me move this one. Oh, yeah. Come on. Hey, guys. Welcome back to another episode of PepTalks Podcast. This is episode 23. Let's go. Thank you guys for joining us again. I'm very excited to be here. This is going to be a continuous to the streak of 2025. Happy New Year again to anybody who's joining us for the first time in the new year. And yeah, I'm very excited. Joining me today is fellow entrepreneur, photographer, great mother, friend, Ms. Cecilia Ortiz. Welcome. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, actually.
You know what I'm at? I wondered, is purple a good color for you?
Yeah, that's perfect. I love purple.
I do like how I was looking in the camera right now.
Yes.
How you doing today?
I'm
Cold,
good.
huh?
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
A very interesting one.
It is. It is.
I don't know why. I feel like I wasn't like too, not that I wasn't excited.
Yeah.
I just forgot the New Year happens and everything. And I have a lot of stuff already like had been pending. So you're kind of like already in 2025.
Yes.
Like, with it. So when it got here, I was kind of like, okay.
No, and it's already going by so fast. Like, we're 8 days in. Is it?
It feels like we've been in like 2 weeks already.
Yeah.
And then we're prepping for snow this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm not looking forward to either.
I'm already planning on like, I got hills in my neighborhood that I probably wouldn't be able to get out of. So I'm like, I'm probably going to have to migrate somewhere for now. Somewhere more steady land.
Yes.
And with everything going on, like the holidays, how was that for you guys?
It was actually really good. We stayed here at home, which, we spent it with family. It's always good to have family, and we had family from out of town as well. So one of my aunts came in. She's a nun. So she's my dad's oldest sister. So she came in, and we got to spend time with her, and it's just a great time to spend just the time with our families, because we never really get to see them. So yeah.
Is she like a fun nun or like a very strict nun?
She's okay.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. Because she's in a ministry or a ministerio. So obviously you can't like do whatever
you can't
you
wild
want.
out. You can't just be crashing out every weekend.
Exactly.
And stuff. Nah, I get it. And that's cool. Bless her, bless the people that walk around us that believe so much,
No, yeah, for sure. And at least I know somebody prays for me at the end of the day.
We all have that angelito, but as long as you have like a visual representation, you're like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm Gucci. I have my madrina. She's like the only madrina, and she was like from like confirmation madrina.
Oh, really?
She's the only one that checks up on me, and I have the same feeling with her. That she'll hit me up on the randomest of days and be like praying for you, and I'm just like, fuck, man, you're just a good fucking human, man. I don't even deserve this.
No, padrinos are definitely like God sent for sure.
Shout out. Are you padrino, madrina?
Not yet. Yeah, me and Will both have to get married still, so by the church. So we'll
in the sense that's where it would happen.
And we still haven't been asked. So anybody that wants to,
it's but I like that you see the importance of it. So yeah, if I ever get asked, I don't know how it would interfere. I'm not very religious, might you say, but I'm very spiritual. I wouldn't mind it, but I know that the church has very rigid kind of like ways to do things. So
yeah, they're very strict. Like when we were gonna baptize our baby, they were just very strict with certain requirements that we had to meet. So I was like, really, like when is it gonna happen? But
that's crazy. Talking about church is kind of a way that me and Ceci were introduced when we were very young. Me and Ceci have grown up together, all her family. We've I think like one of like the fondest memories is, remember 2012 when they said the world was gonna end and we threw a bonfire.
Oh my God, yes! I always remember that bonfire, and my mom remembers it too.
Because everybody ended up sleeping there too.
Yes, it was so fun. We like did bonfires.
I remember we put pizza like on bare brick and then just ate it because we were like, it's toasted. It's good.
Yes, so, and then look at us here like. What, 14, 15 years later?
2012, yeah. Well, now it's
2025. What's that, 13 years?
I think it's 23. No, not 23. Yeah, it's 13, 10.
13 years.
I'm really bad at math, and right now I'm testing. You guys will check us on. Comment down below what it was. The answer, please.
But 13, 14, 15 years later, we're still here.
And it's
world
cool.
hasn't ended.
And I think that's what I love about what I've been doing recently. Like I said, like being able to connect with people that I grew up with is very interesting now. because it's a different person, yet you know who they really are, or like you know that they're you know their background, you know where they've been, and you're like, this is cool. I just get to see you keep growing.
Yeah, and then we just kind of like see each other here and there, but it's like we don't really know what we're actually each individually going through.
Mm-hmm.
But we see each other on social media. It's like, oh, like for me, for example, like I see Pepe post up like his podcast, and that you're doing photography now as well with RYE.
Very amateur level,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But you're doing pretty good.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
So right now at your day to day, how's it going around your business, your family? How do you feel?
So right now, actually recently, a couple months ago, I actually finally became a full-time photographer and full-time stay-at-home mom.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was working, well, I'll backtrack a little bit back to, I would say like after graduating college, which was in end of 2019. I graduated college thinking that I was going to get a big girl job and going into corporate. And, that's like the, I guess, quote unquote dream that we have. But that didn't really work out because COVID happened. And then, I just found like a regular job to work, which I went back into banking, and I was working there for 3 years. And not saying that didn't work out for me, but it's just like I kind of got stagnant or comfortable. And after having my baby, it was like kind of hard because I didn't have like a full-time babysitter. It was just kind of like leaving her with her grandma or with my family. And I'm very grateful to have the village that I have now. But of course, you have to also be a mom. That's one thing. And being a mom and working is a lot on your plate.
I bet.
And then on top of that, I've always had photography. I've been doing photography for, I guess, a little bit over 7 years now. So that was always something in the back of my mind. At first, it started off as a hobby, and then I found a true passion for it, of course. And then, when you go into working, you have a 9-to-5 job, and then you start a quote unquote hobby. It's like really hard to manage those two things because one, it starts becoming an actual job on the side.
To keep up or to be at the level you want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was working part-time. So it was not like I wasn't there like all week long or like working full-time. But even then, I would still have to get ready for work and go to work and then come home and then sit down and like log into my computer and like start editing and working with my clients, and it was just a lot, and on top of that, being a mom and being a partner, so it was just a lot.
You have to be in a lot of different places, be a different person, not changing who you are, just the perspective, there's times to be strict, there's times to be fun, and I feel like managing all of that can get a little bit intense.
It can be overwhelming for sure, but you do it. That's just like the life you create at the end of the day, because like nobody, how do I explain it? Nobody like forced me to be a mom, but I appreciate the life I have, and I'm very grateful for what is to come and what it has been. So yeah,
I believe a busy life is what keeps us kind of more steady than we believe. It does seem like it can throw a lot at you.
Yeah.
But I feel like without challenge and at least one part of your day, there's no growth because you, like you said, you become stagnant. You become so comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you have a little bit of challenge, you start to kind of have to exercise your humanity. I have to feel stressed. I have to feel anxious. But now I get to feel accomplished when I succeed,
Yeah.
And with a circle of that happening around you, above of, like you said, a 9-to-5 is still hard in its way. But at a certain point, you feel like, this is already measured. This is telling me exactly point on point what I need to do. And I feel like when you lose that sense of creativity or that sense of thought, you tend to kind of like shut down at some points. Where now you get to find even more ways that you could be creative.
Yeah.
Things that you didn't even know you liked, things you didn't know you disliked, things that you didn't know you could live without.
Exactly. And when I quit my job, you also create like an idealistic way of like, how am I going to produce income, especially as an adult, because you're just like, well, obviously life is not cheap. It's fairly expensive. So like, you have to pay rent and bills and stuff like that. Or even now, like I have a daughter, like how am I gonna provide for her. And obviously I do have her dad and stuff, but you know, of course, both him and I want to produce a quality of life for her and stuff. So when I quit my job, it was just like, what am I going to do? Even if I wasn't making like a ton of money, but it was steady income that was coming in every 2 weeks. Like I knew that paycheck was going to be there. But yeah, I quit. You know, I'm actually very grateful because I have a very supportive village. Even my parents are very supportive. Her dad is very, my partner is very supportive as well. And it's just when you have that support system in your life, it allows you to grow. Like it allows you to risk what you have and just grow and like get out of your comfort zone and just continue to do what you love. And fortunately, it has been going really, really well. And I'm excited to see what this new year has for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you describe it as a village, and it does, like you said, it does take a village to grow it. I actually recently learned that elephants, when a mother dies, the whole the whole group will go and actually like they understand the importance of touch. So in order for the animal, like for the baby, not to lose its sense of like love through the sense of touch, they all kind of lay their the trunks
the trunks, sorry,
on them,
yeah.
and kind of give them that sense of like we're here, like so like I see that in like not only them but like through us too, where if you have enough people caring about one certain person, it just kind of just takes something away from you, where you're like at least I don't have to worry about like her believing that it's not like enough, or maybe she's doing something wrong and that's why we can't be around.
Yeah, especially because like even when becoming a mom, like it's hard. Like if you don't have that support system, and that's why I look to even like single mothers a lot, because I'm like, damn, like they're working their butts out here, like they're doing the thing, because sometimes they don't even have like the family to take care of their kids. They have to look for daycares for the kids to stay at and stuff. So, you know, for me to even have that choice of being able to just like leave her with her grandparents, or have friends that even care for her. I have some of my best friends that are still in the picture, and like they still care for my child and stuff. Like it's just very, very like supportive and loving, and I can see where the love comes from and stuff.
No, and that's gonna show her too, like the importance of being kind and being great to people, and in return you get somebody that you can trust, you get somebody that could be loyal to you, and that means a lot to a lot of us in our lives, or it's a necessity at a certain point to have somebody that you can kind of rely on certain things. If it doesn't even have to be such as importance of like opinions, more as just actions of like, I'll give you a lending hand because maybe you've helped me in the past, or who cares? I love you enough that I will, give some time to you. And that's awesome to find those people.
Yeah. I think we see that a lot in the Hispanic community as well. Mm-hmm. Like we're always kind of like,
you grow up with a sense of family.
Yeah.
And then through that, you can go into any house, that grandma will feed you. Like if you're their own, that mom will always worry about, hey, that kid doesn't have a sweater on and it's cold as fuck. Does he need a sweater? Or hey, I'll give all of your friends rides home. My mom was like that.
Yeah.
Because they're mothers too. They see kids and they're like my kids maybe.
Yeah.
My mom always would say that to my friends, and it's crazy. Some of my friends would be like, I feel differently at your house than at my house. Mm-hmm. And you would go to their house, and unfortunately you would recognize why they felt that difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important for like people to kind of give out that care. And I think it's even more impactful when it's somebody that you don't know, because then you kind of just start thinking like, what the fuck does that lady like owe me?
Yeah.
I don't know her. I've never done anything for her. So it gives them kind of like, maybe I am worth something, or somebody fucking cares.
Yeah.
That's older, or that doesn't have to be my friend,
I do believe that a lot of us do grow up in different family dynamics. Some of us have, well, for me, I grew up with a very wholesome family. Mm-hmm. My parents are still married to this day. I have all my siblings with me. So when we get all together, especially like right now for the holidays, it's just been like super fun. Like we're just playing games and chilling and stuff like that. And then, you look to others and like they have broken homes, they have broken family relationships, and it's a little hard for them to feel that same love that they need sometimes. But I mean, you can only do so much for them to like feel that same love that you had at your home.
Yeah, and like just being, like I said, like being a good person just goes a long way. Saying hi to people apparently is a big thing. People are like, the fuck, like, oh, or like asking. I always ask like my brothers around me, like friends, like, how you doing? Like, how's your mind? And most of them would be like, damn, bro, I haven't been asked that forever.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to. It's a little bit more work than just walking around, but it's something that we could all try to do. And I feel like when you make that feeling in somewhere, like they said, a home is wherever like you want to make it.
Yeah.
So people can make a home in you, and that's awesome. You know, that you could exert that energy that people feel comfortable with.
Yes.
So in photography, you know, and in your business, now that you've, you know, found the leeway into that and kind of, okay, I can do this. What was like the first steps, or like how did you feel in the beginning? Like what was it that kind of like pushed you, but also kind of like kept you like questionable?
So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because it's not like I just, quit my job and then, oh wow, like I have a thriving business, which I've been doing photography for like more than it's like 7 years ish. I started a little bit after I graduated high school, but it was just really like I bought a camera and like, let me see. I would take it to events. Like we would go to car events and like we would go to I would take pictures of friends, or we'd just go everywhere with that camera. But it started off with like doing small events, and I don't know, Venom and Angel, my brother Angel, they both had it was called Panic Entertainment at the time. Out. Yeah, shout out. They were doing events, so I would come on. They would do like weddings and 15s at the time. I know they were doing like clubs as well.
They did the Descontrol. I always remember that.
I remember that too. Yeah, but I wasn't old enough to go to those.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, they started doing those events, and I would come on and like be a second-hander, like shooter and stuff. So I got my experience with that. But then obviously they sided more with the club scene, so I just kind of stopped.
Kind of swayed away from it.
Yeah, swayed away from it. And then I was going to school and working, so like I always knew I've always wanted to be a business owner. Like I grew up in a very like hustle mentality home. Like my dad's an entrepreneur, my brother's an entrepreneur. I need to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be, So I knew that that's something that I always wanted to be. And I think a lot of us are like that as well. Like a lot of us.
You definitely are influenced by what's around you and what you see growing up. And I feel like maybe you could connect it to the freedom that it brings.
Yes.
Because I could tell, like you said, you had your dad around a lot, where a lot of people that, their parents, or especially their dads, had like company jobs.
Yeah.
Sometimes they couldn't be there. So you kind of see like, oh, I get to see my dad more, and you want to be there,
Yeah. And it's definitely a luxury. Like, even though you have to work, I feel like you have to work twice as hard as an entrepreneur. Like, some people don't really see that. Some people just see like what's posted, or like the good and what comes with entrepreneurship, which is good. But, as somebody that has seen a little bit of the business side of everything, like it gets stressful sometimes, in a good way too. But you have to wake up early, and you have to make your own schedule and make sure that you're gonna go meet your clients, talk to clients, send things to other people. Sometimes there's days where I'll stay up late and like I'm editing pictures because I had to be a mom all day. Like I have to put her to sleep, and you have to continue the work.
And you have to keep the balance and keep everything afloat.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also have to keep yourself afloat too.
Yes.
So it's just it's a lot of pressure. But I mean, I feel like when you do stuff that you love, like, it kind of it carries a little, it weighs a little less.
Yes,
and you're able to move a little bit more freely.
Mm-hmm. So going back to so I started doing events with Navy Films, and I'm pretty sure yeah,
he was also on the podcast earlier.
I saw he was on your podcast. I did some research.
So, mi amigo Navy.
Yeah, shout out. So I did events with him, and after COVID came along, I kind of swayed away as well. And that's when, actually a little bit before COVID, this is in 2019 when I started doing my own thing. I knew I could do my own thing, but I feel like I didn't understand what I was getting myself into at first. I think I tried to run before I could walk. That's how I could describe it, because just how I saw Navy doing his events and stuff, I didn't know how big and like the contract making, dealing with the certain clients was gonna come at me. So I was like, oh, I could do 15s on my own. I could do weddings on my own, and it was not anything close to how I imagined it. Weddings and 15s are huge events, like, and they're one in a lifetime events too. So you have to make sure you're doing things almost in a perfect manner, like you're getting all the shots
as best as possible.
Yeah, and I went into it a little blindsided. Obviously, I didn't have like a team or anybody that could like second shoot. I even had my friend Jimmy, shout out Jimmy, help me on one of the 15s at one point.
Jimmy.
Yeah, and I started doing more research, working, to get more knowledgeable in the business aspect, because I knew how to take pictures. I knew how to edit. Actually, I didn't know how to edit at the time, but I gotten better at it. And the business side of it was crazy, like just seeing like what websites I needed to use, what that I actually needed to create a website, that I needed to be posted on my social medias. Like every little thing was just like, I did not see that coming. So when COVID hit, of course, business slowed down a little bit. And at the time, I guess we could go into the whole how was my name created and stuff.
Hey, yeah. Your name, which is, go ahead.
Yeah, I go by the name of Maria Cecilia Visuals.
We'll put it right here.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom.
So that was actually not my name at the time. Yeah, which is crazy.
So you rebranded.
I rebranded. Yeah, I rebranded actually last year. Well, a little bit before last year started.
Nice.
But I had so much trouble finding my name. I knew I wanted to, well, let me backtrack a little bit more. But I actually went to school for film and media.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. I got my bachelor's in film and media and a minor in marketing.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went to Georgia State. So shout out Georgia State.
And those go in together, actually.
Yeah, so I actually was a little not crazy, but I thought I was gonna be like a producer or something on a set.
Like a PA.
Yeah. Exactly.
That is a cool route. I would always want to try that. It's not a bad one to even try.
No, you should try it out, especially since like the podcast game is very, very similar.
Really? I feel like that is
I
not
could see you doing that.
It's not intimidating, but it's more like I don't even know if I would like kind of maybe even fit in.
I feel like you could because that's what you think, but it's actually really fun. In school I had a lot of sets that we were in, so I got to see a lot of cinematography, did a lot of like background history work on how to, really, really cool. So
and what, like out of high school, that's exactly what you like. What was your first step in college?
It sounds so okay. So like, from high school, I actually wanted to be I think it was like a dental hygienist.
That's still solid. That's still a solid.
It is, but I told myself, I was like, if I'm going to dental school, I'm going to become a dentist. Like, I'm going to get the bag,
Fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Go all the way in.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's when like I saw social media like coming up at the time. This was like 2014, 2015 time.
You're 2015?
Yeah, 2015.
Oh, so is BD.
Yeah, she is. So
you're probably like around what's 2015 happening? I don't remember. What I do remember us watching all the time at Comunidad was Sergio
Ramos?
No. Rasta.
Sergio Rasta, yeah.
I remember watching that.
Okay, so going into the social media and all that, that's when YouTube was a big thing. Like a lot of I used to watch a lot of makeup girlies and stuff like that.
Okay, different perspectives.
Yeah,
definitely.
So I was like, I want to be one of them. Like, I want to be a YouTuber. That's what I wanted to. That's what I thought, right? Because I would see them like traveling, and LA was a big thing at the time.
They do make it very glamorous, very tempting.
Yeah, LA was in the Los Angeles was actually like my vision board, like, which I did ended up going to LA eventually. But it was just like, I want to travel and do all these cool things that these people do. And it's crazy because now content creation is like a huge thing. And that's kind of why I went into school thinking like, oh, I want to do film and media, but film and media was nothing close to what YouTube is like at
Yeah.
all.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because I feel like YouTube people make it with like very even low budget,
Yes.
like ways to get in.
Especially now with like the iPhone
Phones,
16,
right?
like just pick up a phone, pick up a little light from Amazon and call it
And
a
I think
day.
to me it's like knowledge, because all of this I learned just through what they call YouTube
Yeah.
University. That's literally what it all
No,
is to
exactly.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, you do learn it. So that's
But I do bet that in that sense of you going to college for that, you did learn a lot more things that are more like they have more structure to them, where you can
yeah.
actually analyze and learn.
Yeah, a lot of things. It actually is crazy because now when I watch movies, I see them so different.
Really? 'Cause
Yeah.
you can get to see the angles, even the lighting.
Yeah, the lighting, the different takes that they do.
I think for me, what I loved about film, and I learned it, was in middle school. We had a class called film analysis. So we all the only thing we would do is watch movies. And when the teacher, because she took some type of class that also worked in the film industry,
Yeah.
she would pause it and be like, okay, so this is what we call like a freeze frame, or this is what you call foreshadowing.
Yes.
Now let's take a note of the colors. What you like? She would break down the whole movie. So it'd take us like a week to watch a movie. But you're just learning about like, oh yeah, that's foreshadowing. That angle was meant for like to kind of like make you think about this. This color means really will instruct like the mind to start working in this way.
So it goes hand in hand a lot too with advertising, and we actually don't think about it like marketing and stuff.
Like it's very psychological.
Yeah, very psychological. I did minor in marketing and took advertising classes, and you'd be surprised how like much goes into us becoming the consumer, and we don't really even think about it, and how much every single day we see something on TV, or now especially like social media and stuff, like we're just scrolling through our phones and an ad pops up.
We're very overstimulated.
Yeah.
Very, very. And what do you feel like is is there a new tactic to what was like commercials when we watched them on TV, or you think it's the same system just on a different platform?
Yeah, same system, different platform. Crazy. For sure. Yeah. And it's crazy because they actually have a certain number of people or consumers that they want to reach now. So that's,
and now it's possible through
yes,
analytics and all of that.
No, and okay, so now that like the marketing topic has come up, and like me going to school, like that all plays into like the business aspect.
Definitely.
Now. Yeah. So like now when I go on social media and like I have to, cause I'm the producer. You call me, I'm the one that's, the client.
Yeah, I was going to say that like you have to, when you were mentioning about like what you're realizing entrepreneurship is, it definitely is learning to wear every type of hat.
Yes.
Whether it's, being like the admin, where it's being like the bookkeeper. Now you're your own HR, and and at a certain point you're the only employee. So you're like, who the fuck am I mad at?
I'm not the photographer no more.
Yeah, you can't be, because you have to kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
When you're the photographer, you can't be so strict. You can't be so business, because people love creativity at a photographer.
Do. And they love the fun aspect as well, because I actually get to meet a lot of new people and a lot of fun people, and they at the end of the day, they love who you are. Like they love who you are as a genuine person. Like they get to meet you and like, oh yeah, I got to work with her, like she's my photographer. Like I always get like such good feedback from people, and they're like, oh, you're so sweet. And I just try to be as and also create like a very comfortable environment for my clients.
You want to be very authentic.
Yeah.
You don't want to, because it's hard to live a lie.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to think like I'm going into business with somebody who likes to live a lie.
Yeah. And then going into business is crazy, because like you cannot go into business with just thinking like the money is going to be there. That's one big thing that I've learned. Yeah, of course there is going to be money. Like you're going to obviously make some money, but you cannot go into thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this is a get rich scheme. Like, no.
Yeah. When something that is so like easy to come and go, and you make that your foundation, you can definitely feel kind of shaky when the tough winds come.
So now that I'm like doing photography, like if you call me, I'm like customer service. Hello,
You gotta
because
be professional. You
yeah.
gotta make it into your everyday life. So
Mhm.
again, it becomes more genuine. It becomes more like second thought, whatever. Cool,
Yes.
and you're good at it.
Yes. So, following school, like I had mentioned earlier, I graduated, and then, big girl job didn't work out because mainly because of COVID, everything was kind of shutting down.
Mm.
But I was still doing photography, and then of course I had my baby. I was pregnant. That slowed me down a little bit too.
In 2020, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
like 20. I was pregnant with her in 2021, like going into 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was just a lot on the table there with COVID and like being pregnant and having her, of course, postpartum. And then last year, well, there was also other things that were slowing me down. And I always tell myself I wish I would have started sooner because we get a lot into our heads about certain things and like, what am I going to do or how do I do it? And, or we just take long pauses. And nowadays with social media, I believe like you have to be on there. If you want to grow like as a person or just in general, you have to be on there like posting every day. No matter what, like on your stories, posts, like something on there because the way that the algorithm works, it literally will forget about you. Like you're not saying you're nobody, but there's just so many entrepreneurs out there, so many businesses, so many ads on social media. If you're not posting on there, if you're not consistent, then it's just gonna like
Damn.
be
Yeah, I
whatever.
feel like that happens
Yeah.
a lot. Even with this, like if I went on like on a posting spree with reels, and then around the holidays, obviously it gets harder to
Yeah.
just focus. And I realized like shit, man, I stopped on the reels, and then yeah, you can see that people were fucking with them, and then now they're kind of like, damn, I gotta keep it consistent.
No, yeah, for sure. Especially like, well, I see it mostly on TikTok. TikTok, well, one, it creates such a short attention span.
That's why I
Yeah.
kind of got off of it too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to consume, and
Yeah.
it's you get consumed into it, and you
Mhm.
just lose hours at a certain point.
But it's also like a really good platform because it's very easy to like go viral
It
or
is,
like
yeah.
grow on there.
Now
Yeah.
I've always wondered that, and I at a certain point I want to be on. I'm actually on TikTok, but
Yeah.
I'm still slowly posting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like maybe people, you have that sense of like you're a TikTok star if you make it, or you're viral on TikTok, like that has to be named instead of just saying you went viral? Do you believe like maybe the app has less of a certification to it? Maybe people see it as like, well, if you were big on YouTube, I'd take you more serious. Or do you believe it's getting more into like, wow, you're big on TikTok?
I think that you definitely have to create a community on there for sure. Like you have to have people that will love to see what you're gonna post next. Because if you don't have like that genuine connection with the people that watch you already, then you're just posting to post almost.
And people
So
will kind of get sick of that, huh?
yeah, like what is she posting now?
And it's like kind of, it probably goes into the same thing.
Yes.
Every video kind of looks duplicated.
Yes.
And yeah, that makes
That
sense.
and also your personality has to definitely show. Like people love to see what you're doing. We're nosy people. So as humans, it's just nature. So it's like, oh, what is she doing now? Is she going to the Target? Is she gonna do a shopping haul? Like, what is she posting now? Or what are you posting now? Or like even
And with the like with the attention span, it does make sense too, because in this platform, I realized Instagram has pictures. You can just keep it like two different, three different things. YouTube, you can do long content,
yeah.
or like podcasting. It's a whole different like just form. Where here it's just short form, and that's it. Videos,
Yes.
you can only do that.
That's
So it
very
is.
true.
I find it very hard to like keep that up as well.
And I mean, I've seen you post your reels, and I think even just taking the highlights of like from what your long form content will be, it's even like really successful already because your people are gonna be like, oh, let me click and watch his YouTube.
Because that's actually how I consume
Yeah.
new podcasts, or like how I get introduced to them is again scrolling, and then you see, especially I love YouTube Shorts, and maybe because I love YouTube in itself. I like watching all different types of content on there, so I use YouTube Shorts now just to kind of see like what grabs people, because people I've seen that and I love that they have like the little tag where you could put the video. So all you gotta do is click on the video and it'll take you straight to that long form video. That's why I do like YouTube a lot.
And I think there's definitely an audience for everything. Like definitely an audience for everything. If you're in the audience of like entrepreneurship or beauty or being a mom even, or you want to grow as a like self-help, like there's just an audience for everything. Or even like working out, there's definitely that too.
I always had like when you said like going into your own thing, you're in your own head, and one of the things I always kind of like kept coming back to was what if like people what if people don't find my niche interesting and they don't want to consume it, or maybe people are like see me a certain way, and if I sway too much, maybe they'll be like, again, he's living a fake lie or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I got looking at to the things that I actually see every day and consume every day, and I realized that I have a variety. I can go from a comedic podcast to I love listening to this Dr. Gabor Matz. He always talks about trauma and stuff like that, and I'll watch him in different podcasts that I've seen just to kind of like reboot that very passionate and very like comforting sense of my like feelings, what I'm trying to work on, and he helps a lot with that. And then I'll go into, again, like you said, working out. Before a workout, if I run out of ideas, I'll go watch a workout video on like, oh, this is a new workout I can implement today. So it goes to a whole different type of like aspects of like what makes me
as a person.
That's what I kind of like went back to. That I was like, okay, people might find me at a certain point in their day.
Yeah.
Because I realized like through analytics that some people watch this podcast on their living room.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'm just like, it's good that I'm a background voice. But that's cool because people find maybe comfort in the way that we talk. Like the way that they can feel like, shit, I haven't talked to nobody all day. Maybe I can feel some type of conversation around me.
Or like they could turn you on your TV and like clean their living space and like just play you in the background, but they know that they're getting something good out of it too. Because
that's what I do sometimes with podcasts. That's what I love about them, that it's like a conversation, so it keeps you maybe in a sense stimulated, but to me it's less than just having something in my face all the
like
time.
Always scrolling or I get that.
That's awesome. When you started photography, what was like your first equipment? What was your first camera?
So I actually bought my first camera off my friend Lex ATL.
Hey, Lex. Also has a podcast too. Shout out.
Okay, so Lex was selling his camera at the time, and I remember I think I had gotten like some money back from school, like tuition money. I think it was like FAFSA or something. I can't remember.
Nice.
All I know is I had $500 in a dream, like for real.
500 goes a long way.
Yeah,
if you know how to use it
at the time. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Let me buy this camera because cameras are expensive, or like just equipment in general, is expensive. So I was like, let me buy this camera off of him because he was selling it, and I remember buying it and. Like going back to like the YouTube thing, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna do YouTube with it, but I didn't know anything about editing. I didn't know anything about softwares, like how to edit, on the computer and stuff. All I know is I wanted to do the camera, so that's what I started off with. I actually worked with that camera for like 5 years, maybe like 6.
It must have been a good camera then.
It was a really good camera. It was a Canon T6i, Rebel really? Canon T6i, and it took me a long time to buy my next camera, which is now a Canon IDD.
Nice.
Then eventually, hopefully soon.
I actually went from the T7. That's the latest one before, and I had the T5 when I was 15.
Oh wow.
That's the one that I remember I started off with. But now I went into Sony. Sony's actually, for me, it's good just for the videos.
Sony's really good. Nikon's really good. But I always stuck to Canon. I don't know why. I think it's just like a habit of, using that type of equipment. Because every camera is different, like the settings and everything. So I sold that camera eventually. I can't remember how much I sold it for, but I know I sold it and I bought myself the camera I have now. And I actually will say, if you're, especially you going into photography, I'll give you some recommendations. I think that sometimes it's not even a camera, it's just a photographer for sure.
That is true.
Yeah.
I have learned that through the hard way.
Like you can have the most expensive camera in the world, and like if you're a sucky photographer, that's not gonna matter. Like your equipment's not gonna matter. And also learning how to edit finding your editing style. I think it also took me a long time to find my editing style. I think I finally found it. I stick to like more warm tones and stuff.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fun to learn how to edit as well, because you could play around with it. But finding your editing style, and then of course, buying lenses would be a good one.
Yeah, and the lens part, I do see that you have to be very technical of what you got to know what you want in an actual like format, so you can imply when you're buying a lens.
Yes,
it goes down to like even knowing what you're gonna shoot. What is this for? They'll ask you that, and you're just like, shit, dog, I just want to take pictures. They're like, yeah, but like, what kind of pictures are you in low light?
Like, do you take lifestyle, or do you want to do landscape?
Yeah, what's that camera store? Is it KEH?
Oh, B&H? Is it B&H?
No, B&H is good though. They're right here off of South Cobb Drive. I forgot what it's called, but it's a really cool store. I'll find it and I'll send you that.
Share that.
But that one I went in, and that's when you realize like I should have fucking Googled some of this shit before I came in here. Like, I'm just here to buy a good lens.
It's like they'll start talking like scientific, like you want
they'll
a 50
really
millimeter, and it's like, what? I just wanted a lens, like.
Yeah, and then like you said, like they get so like the terms are very like bold there. And you're just
very.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That's true, but I did do my research, and like actually before the end of this year, which was one of my big goals for 2024, was to upgrade one of my lenses, and I actually ended up finding it on Facebook Market. So if you ever want to find,
I found mine.
Yeah,
the Tamron. It's I think it's a 28 to 75. I found it, and I drove. I remember when I bought this whole setup. I drove to Birmingham in the morning.
Oh wow!
Picked up that lens. Drove all the way to Stone Mountain from Birmingham to Stone Mountain. Picked up the camera, the body, made it all together, and then at night we shot at a spot. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was like my first time ever using it, even learning. I still to this day have the Canon tote, like the bag. Oh shit! Yeah. Have the bag. Oh, we'll figure that one out. And it's so crazy that I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm driving just for a lens, but then you grab it and you're like, this is worth it every time.
It is worth it. So the lens that I found, or I wanted for such a long time, because this is the lens that a lot of photographers love to use, or like I guess call it the dream lens. It's a 24-70 millimeter. It has leveled up my photography so much, even in editing.
I love that you said that, because that's exactly what I'm about to get to.
Okay, yeah, no, for sure. And if you could find it on Facebook Market, even better. I found it for like half the price. Like I met up the lady. She was like, yeah, it was just a hobby I started. I didn't finish. I'm like, okay, cool. And she was like, I barely used this lens. And I withdrew the money on my bank, and I was like, give me the lens today, because that was like a lens that I had been needing for a long time.
I like that you said that about goals, because I realized that dreams are good, but goals are more substantial.
Yes.
And I find it very important, especially when having a business or just starting anything on your own.
Yeah.
Like where you want to go is very important. So like when enough is enough. Because I feel like when people get into business, like you said, especially if you're going in money hungry and you don't have like a set limit, you'll just keep chasing it. And it'll get bigger, but you just still won't feel like it's enough until you're just like, okay, when is enough? And then you sit there, you're like, and I've seen that happen to a lot of people. So it's good to have goals and not limitations, but just where do you want to go? Because if you surpass it, good for you. But if you don't get there, it's more of like, okay, how long is it going to take?
That's true.
It's a good way to measure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of goals, I do believe in the power of manifestation a lot. Like even just the power of prayer like helps a lot in your day-to-day life, and just having the ability to like know what you want and like how to get it, and like knowing that you already have that, but eventually you have to work for it too. Because a lot of people will sit here and manifest like, I want 10K and like I want a big house, but what are you doing to get those goals? What are you doing to achieve them?
Are you the person worthy of receiving that?
Yeah, that too. And also knowing that to be grateful for what you have already. Because, for example, you have, your apartment and you have your home, but, obviously the bigger picture is to have a big house one day. Let's just say that, like in general, right? Like as an example. But if you're sticking to your apartment, you're being ungrateful and being like, oh, I live in this crappy apartment and this crappy car, and like having that negative mindset, it's not gonna get you far. Like you have to be grateful for what you already have, like even like the smallest things that might not seem bigger, but sometimes other people are dealing with worse things than you are. So you have to just be grateful for what you have, especially because most of us, we have clothes on our back and like food on our table, and just like those are things that sometimes we take advantage for.
Yeah, take for granted.
Yeah, take it.
Like if we even like are like deserving of it, when you, like you said, like if you don't put in the work, like how are you gonna know what to do when you're in that position?
Exactly, and how to handle it too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always tell people. Like we would want to be a millionaire, but we don't even have the literacy to know what to do when you get there. That's why you see all of these failed lottery winners. That's because true. It's so much power, yet our knowledge is very low.
And also, like, are you even acting like the millionaire that you want to be? Because a lot of people, you wake up late and you don't want to do anything and you're just laying around and being lazy. Like, that's not what a millionaire does. Like, a millionaire wants to wake up early, go to the gym early, be in their office by a certain time, work. That's just an example.
It's just the reality of what it takes to not only it's not only getting it, it's keeping it. And how are you gonna grow from here? Or is it? And then are you gonna like just throw it away?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a plan, because you're not, again, it's not that you have the self-worth is measured in money or anything, but is it like, are you worthy through the work that you put in?
Yeah, like are you applying it into your day-to-day life? That's true.
Like you said, act or like think the way you would want to think when you are at that position. Make yourself already like, and it could be a way of manifesting when you're like, act that way, like you're already there, and learn how to maneuver when you're there. How are you gonna react when people come up to you that you don't know and they show a lot of endearment? Are you gonna have a good sense of character? Are you gonna be a good judge of actions? Was that a good one? Do I want that around me?
Yeah,
it's a lot of stuff that you kind of have to sit down and be like, do I even have those characteristics in me?
I think also your environment plays into it a lot too, because if you have like toxic friendships or even toxic partners, or just things that are negative in your life, those things are also going to play into it. Or if you're out like, how do you expect to be successful if you're out like partying till like 4 a.m. and clubbing all the time? And not saying those things are bad. You can party and club from time to time, but if you want to be a successful person, you have to like make a routine and like follow it through, and learn how to do certain things that you might have to make sacrifices that others aren't doing. That necessarily doesn't make you a better person. Like, oh, I'm better than this person because they do that. It's not even that. It's just like the lifestyle you want to make of your own.
Once in a red moon will somebody get famous or be successful on a concrete level. Like it's going to be substantial by just partying and laying around.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
But it even goes back to like athletes. You see athletes, sometimes they might go out and celebrate and stuff because of their wins, but they have to stick to a very strict diet. They have to go and work out and like be very disciplined and motivated. Well, maybe motivation doesn't even go through the window, but they know that their income relies on like what they do, and that's their job. And that's how we kind of have to think about it as well. Like, even though we might be regular people or have regular jobs, but at the end of the day, we know that we want something better for ourselves. So we have to be disciplined and play the routine that we want to do. So like, we have to know if we want to be, like not an athlete, but somebody that works out, you have to also make it kind of known to your personality that you are that person that works out.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to have like your body catching up to your personality or your character, the character like you want to build, and the values you want to build, and then somebody's playing catch up, which is you.
Exactly. And it does change a lot because and for example, for me, I used to not really say I was a photographer. I would just be like, oh, I work at a bank, because I used to be a teller at a bank. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I do this. I work part-time. But nobody ever really knew I did photography for a long time too. They'd be like, oh yeah, I forget you do that. Or like, oh, are you still doing that? Like, I would get that a lot. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I am, you know. And then now I've switched up my way of introducing myself to people. I'm like, they're, especially now because I don't really have a job, but instead of being like, oh, I just stay at home and be a mom, you know, I'm like, oh no, I'm a photographer. Like I do this. Oh, and then obviously that gets the ball rolling too, because they're like, oh, you do photography? Like, what do you do? And like, and then I, you know, that gets like into the conversation, and then, you know, now I'm showing.
I feel like people love to hear that somebody did something that maybe isn't normal to them, and they're like, oh shit, like it is possible. Like I'm meeting somebody who can stand on their own 2 feet by doing what they do.
Yeah, it's
that
crazy
means a lot to
because
them.
I don't even see it that way sometimes too. Like,
Yep.
you know, even you, like for example, you could be like, oh, I do podcasting. Like, well, you do podcasting? Like, it's so cool, because I feel like that's the new way to introduce yourself sometimes too. You know, because if you're just like, oh yeah, like I work this other job, and maybe that's not something you do full time.
I love that. Yeah, like when people feel like this is the only thing I do. I also do construction, and I have like like, you know, me and my partner, we do our business. I love when people are like, oh, I thought you did this full time. I'm like, no, this is just what I do for fun right now.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I never really knew I could, you know, like do this for a living, and I would want to get to that point. But it's like you said, I wanted to start this just because I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
I never had like the thought of it, and I feel like to like the end of time, if I never make a dime off of this, I still love it, and it's a way for me to exert maybe some creativity that was in my body for a long time.
Right.
I do remember I got to a point where it was very, again, like very stagnant, very comforting. And it was one night I'm just laying up, you know, at the partner of the time that I had. And yeah, it got to a point where it was just one night watching a movie, same thing. You go to work, you come back, you eat, you lay up, and yeah, it was your day. And it was just something in me was just like, get the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I could start seeing like small changes happen in me where I would want to do like, even going to like arts and crafts, like trying to do something with my hands besides work, and then just think about money and all of this. And I think it was like about like earlier in 2023 when it all like really started to come out in my head, more of like, this isn't the life you wanted.
Right.
This isn't what you're meant to do. And I think that was like when my journey really started of looking back into like, what do I want to do?
Yeah. No, and I think also like even living here in the US, well, I think mostly we just kind of get stuck in that like routine of getting up for work, going to work, coming back, maybe go get groceries, come back home, and then take a shower and go to sleep. And then
very commercial type of life.
And it's like we forget about the creativity that we have, like our hobbies that we love, like hanging out with our friends, because sometimes we are like, oh, we'll just wait till the weekend, or like we'll wait till Friday to do certain things. But it's like, why not hang out with them on the weekday? Why not go grab some dinner or go over to their place and like have a good conversation, or just have dinner with them at their house, or just like little things like that can definitely make a difference.
It is crazy that maybe through schooling and those type of schedules, you begin to wonder, like, I'm living a routine, but whose fucking routine is this?
Yeah,
you know, like who's telling me to do this?
Yeah.
Why is it so weird for me to think, like you said, I could do this on a weekday? Why do I have to wait till the weekend?
Exactly.
It's very constructed, but when you get out of that path of everybody's going the same way, and you kind of like, what's over here, and you move, I feel like that starts to like break through in your head, like, shit, I can move right here, and you take those steps into the unknown. But again, it's unknown, it's scary, but you're like, hey, I'd rather do this than what I was doing back in the time.
It is definitely scary though, like to take a risk, or like even get out of your comfort zone. It's definitely scary, like,
but I love that, isn't, because it's all up to you.
It is.
And I love that people, yes, you can fail miserably, but if you flip it, you could also be successful in ways that you could never even imagine, sitting in a cubicle, sitting in an office, sitting under somebody's thumb, telling you where you can grow. This is where you can grow. I think that's when I realized that I could never work for anybody. Because I would work my ass off, get to that point, and then everybody that was at that point, you realize are there for like 10 years plus. And you're like, what the fuck have you guys been doing for the last 10 years? Why haven't you guys gone higher? And then everybody's like, how? Like, you don't get higher than this. And I was like, you fucking don't. I'm looking for something. And I saw that repeat over time, that I'm going, boom, okay, I'm leaving. Go somewhere else, become a manager here, boom, leaving. Because I was like, okay, I got to where you're not going to tell me that this is where I can stop.
Right.
And I feel like, but it comes what you said with also the tribulations of, fuck, now it's all up to me. So if I get lazy, my business is lazy. If I stop, everything else stops.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you set up a really good system, which in a certain point it'll come,
Mm-hmm.
you leave those hats to other people. Now you're the editor. Now you're this. Now you're that. That's later on. But in the beginning, for a long time, it all relies on who you are.
Who you are as a person. That's very true.
And it builds you to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Things to, like now when problems come my way, I could see my growth in the matter of time that I can finish or resolve that problem.
Yeah.
And how easy is it to me, where other people see me resolve it and they're like, how the fuck did you do that?
Right.
You make it so effortlessly that they're like, where do I come into this? Like how do I get into that point where I can do that?
Yeah.
And it all is with time and with care of what you're doing.
Definitely with time, because it's not like, oh, I woke up and like it was all there for sure. Like you have to definitely work for what you want. And I mean, that's how I was for a while. Like, what do I want to do? Like, or I even one point I think I wanted to just like kind of quit photography, not fully quit it, but just not really make it a big thing, or look for something else. Like maybe I could go into the beauty industry and like do something else. But that didn't inspire me. You know, like even the thought of it didn't inspire me. I was like, I know I love doing photography. So
again, that's where I feel like the importance of a goal, or where do I want to see myself?
Yeah,
is that's the importance of it. Where like it's that star that guides you through like the darkest of times.
Yes.
Because if you don't have that, it's so easy for you to be like, fuck it, I'll disconnect.
Yeah.
But once you disconnect off of these things, like you said, you lose that consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You'll also like lose the emotion that you have towards it.
Yeah.
And emotions can attract but also throw you away.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tend to label it as a negative, where you're like, man, this shit just screwed me over, it let me fail miserably without even giving me any warnings, I hate it. Yeah, all of that shit will throw back on you.
Yeah.
Whereas you see it as like, this sucks, but it's teaching me something. Or maybe this is the place and time I'm supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm supposed to do. Those type of reassurance will also take you way farther than anything. Because motivation isn't always there. It's
not always there, yeah.
And you don't, you sometimes you don't even feel motivated. You feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to realize it's all for me, and it's all from me, and then from me to the world.
Yeah.
And that's very important.
And I also believe, I know you mentioned you're not as religious, but, being I believe in God, or we have a God to believe in. And I also feel like God is not going to place something in your heart if it's not meant to be for you. Like,
I also believe that He will never put me in a position where
like you can't handle.
I can't handle.
Yeah.
And if it does, it will be death, and I'm okay with dying. I've accepted that as well.
Right.
And I feel like that's where faith really comes into heavy too.
But at least like if you tried, and even if you failed, you will come back up with experience. Like if you
I see it like a video game. Like you get a certain level, when you lose, they don't, even if you do start here, it's so easy to get back to that point because I already know how to beat this. And
you're not starting from ground zero anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting from what you learned, and like even better,
You start from when you fell.
Yeah.
You don't start from where you started. You start from where you fell.
Because now, like, oh, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. Or I did this right. So like, I'm starting from experience now. It's like even in relationships, if a relationship failed, you at least know what you may have done wrong, or not what you want in your life coming from a partner or something. You know that you're not gonna start from zero. Like you're starting from experience, and that goes hand in hand with a lot of things in our lives.
So talking about goals and aspirations, like where do you see yourself in the photography game, and like maybe what's your goal now, knowing that you want to have a more structured business?
So for sure, I do want to eventually, so like the plan, I guess, is to have a business, but also work with brands, but
nice.
Not work under them, work for them, like work with them,
partnered.
Yeah. So they'll be obviously there'll be a contract or like a business plan to it, but it's not like I'm working under their belt. Like they'll just
We
be
both have conditions.
Yeah.
Your end has has a conditions. My end has
yeah.
conditions too.
So it's like, hey Pepe, can you come work for me and I'll pay you, but you're still Pepe Pics, you know? It's like that. So it's like, oh, Maria Cecilia Visuals, she's gonna come on set today, but she's gonna do our session or like a shoot today.
Like a collaboration.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that new format in IG where you can collaborate.
Yes.
So even if you made the post, it's more of a tag. It's now like, no, we're in this together.
Yeah.
This image is both of us, both of our entities. So yeah, I do like that new aspect of media, social media, where like we're in this together. You know, this is cool, and that's gonna also provide a lot of growth.
Yes. And then I think another goal is just like eventually, you know, praying that we get a studio for sure. Like
Awesome.
soon. Yeah.
Studio, I feel like that's the best way to go to.
Yeah. I work with, like, I do indoor sessions and stuff, but I think my biggest takeaway is like having to take down all my equipment, having to put it up and then put it back down, and then taking it with me and like, you know, traveling with it. But I feel like a more stabilized place will get me a little bit further. And then eventually I do see other creators, like other photographers.
We all need somewhere to go.
And then they can also like rent out the place and like check it out and stuff. Because I through that, like through me renting other creator studios, I've also met a lot of cool people too. So I think just working all together, and that's the community that I see too. And obviously networking is another goal, like creating that bigger network, because obviously network equals net worth.
Definitely.
So like you get to meet the right people, you just never know who you're talking to either.
Can you say that one more time?
Like if you get to meet
the network.
Your network equals your net worth.
Awesome.
Yes.
I definitely believe that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not that people are tools, it's more of like when you have problems that you can't figure out and you have somebody that's very successful in that realm. Boy, that's a really good way to, hey, I got a little something going on. Yeah.
Like
or even on a personal level, like, can I ask you a question about this? And they won't see it as like, oh, this person just wants to use me.
Yeah.
They know you now. They have a more comfort towards you. And they'll be like, hell yeah, like, what do you got?
Yes.
It's a lot better. Networking is cool.
Yeah, but I think those are like the few goals that I have in mind at the moment. Obviously, just building like a comfortable lifestyle for me and my family. You know, because of course, we come from like a background of immigrants, so you just want to make sure at least that you're doing the best you can, or succeeding at most. So I think right now, you know, Actually, this year, I feel like I've finally, not this year, it's 2025, but this last year, I feel like I finally broke through with, like, the scaries of, like, what if? Like, what if I did this? What if I did that? Yeah. It was just like, let me just do it, you know?
And that naturally comes when starting something that you don't know.
Yeah, it does.
It definitely does.
And, I mean, like we were talking earlier, like, you know, I graduated school with the idea of, like, having a big girl job and all this stuff, and you know, I actually I didn't get back to like telling you the name thing, but I actually started with MC Productions, ATL, which MC is like Maria Cecilia, and then Productions was like me thinking that I was going to go into the film industry, or at least produce videography.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do at first. Or at least I thought that was going to be the thing.
And it still can.
Yeah.
It'll probably come along the line.
Yeah, eventually. But then I saw that, because I was doing both videography and photography, then I saw like, I slowed down a little bit, and you know, I was like, oh, when I did the rebrand, I was like, I'm not doing videography no more. Like, I'm gonna stick to photography, and this is what it's gonna be. And eventually, I did switch up the name because, you know, when you think of productions, like, what do you think when you see the word productions?
Yeah, you definitely want to see something that's I don't want to see a face. I want to see a brand. I want to see somebody that's going to take what I'm doing to the next level through the videography. As a commercial, maybe.
Yeah.
As an ad.
So I wasn't doing that at all. And I was like, like the name's just not clicking, you know? So,
and photography really is personal.
Yeah.
Because it's so still that you can study it. So people, I feel like people that show insecurity tend to sway away from taking pictures because of that. Because it's so the stillness of it, the way that I can study your face from your eyes to your mannerism. Are you speaking with your body, with your words, with your mind? You see all of that in photography.
You do. even if how they're feeling, like
Mhm.
you take pictures and like you could feel the room and stuff.
And I can see that change now in the Maria
Yeah.
Cecilia from MC, where you want to make it more of a comforting, personalized
Yeah. So
environment.
eventually I came out to do, I didn't want to be like, photography by Cecilia, or, that's very basic. So I was like, what can I imply? Like, what can I do? So yeah, I came up with Maria Cecilia Visuals, which finally stuck around. Finally, I love the name. I like the idea of the brand. And I think that by applying my name into it, it has become more personal, in just meeting people, and the people that hit me up to like do sessions. They already know who I am, and it also took me a long time to build my website, actually. Yeah.
Websites are hard. I
They
still
are.
don't have a website.
Yeah.
Or even I wouldn't know what to put in it. I would feel like it's
Yeah.
a big room with like one chair in front of the TV.
I would definitely say, like, if you're or this goes to like anybody that is like planning to do a website or even social media, definitely like plan it out, like make a blueprint almost.
Yes.
That's what I did. Like, I sat back, I went through what categories I wanted to mention, what my pricing was gonna look. This was all done like on a Word spreadsheet. It wasn't even like from
Like you weren't just like willy nilly doing this.
Yeah, like I actually planned it, and then when I went in and did the website, like boom, boom, I already knew what I was gonna like put on there. Right now, I'm actually working on another rebrand for the website because you can.
You can always find something to better, something to
especially
fix.
with the more the more experience that I've gotten, like the better I've gotten. I want my clients to go on my website and be like, oh, she's actually really good.
Because that'd be cool. Like somebody that you had in the first like type of events that you used to do to now. Like, this is a whole different same person that I love and I love to work with.
Yeah.
But now this looks a little bit more
put together,
certified, legit.
And I've actually had one of my the girl that does my brow girl, her name's Fatima. Shout out Fatima. Yeah. She, while she was doing my service, she was like, oh, she's actually really good at posting. Like, that girl posts on her beauty page every day. But we were talking about it, like business aspect, and she was like, why don't you do this? And I was like, tell me, like, for real, like, as a friend, tell me. So she goes on my page and she tells me, she's like, okay, cut out the old pictures, like all the old photography, do this, do that. I listened to her, and I feel like now it looks a little bit more
cleaned up.
Yeah. And that really helps. Like, even though it was a little constructive criticism.
Yeah,
constructive criticism. It was good criticism, and I took it well, because sometimes we can't take criticism well.
We do get very attached to what we do because it is an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
But you always got to be with people that you trust and you find loyalty and care from. Yeah, it's good to take a little cue every now and then, Even just your boy telling you, like, hey, bro, your breath kind of stinks right now. It helps you out because, man, you're talking to a girl at the club. You don't want to, have bad breath. If your homie's looking out for you, that's what's up. I appreciate it. And it's good that you say that because I feel like growing in business, sometimes you got to have a way to know that maybe you're not doing everything perfectly.
No, yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
Very mature and very responsible to do.
Yeah, and you definitely want somebody that also has good judgment to like look over and see what you can do better and like how to grow and stuff, because you don't want to just be your only person that is like looking into what you're doing. Like, you obviously want to have somebody, but also somebody that has
some type of reputation to like uphold what they're saying.
Exactly.
That's one thing. Like, listen to who you're talking to too.
Yeah.
And with certain people, it's observe, don't absorb.
Yeah.
So, but I can definitely say, like, when you're taking serious advice, if you do take it, be it from, like you said, from somebody that like, hey, they're putting in
they
the
also
work.
have good intentions, because you don't want somebody like
misguide you.
Exactly.
Because at a certain point when you're asking for advice, you're putting yourself in a sense of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, I don't know this. It's hard as an adult to say you don't know something. Because it's that pride in us that, hey, we're growing, we're everything, but you don't know this, and you're like, fuck, I don't know that. But it's good because that's gonna help you grow faster, quicker, and more in a more sense of like, maybe I won't fuck this up.
Yeah.
I can fuck up a lot of things, but this I won't because somebody have already helped me.
Yeah.
And I've taken that into consideration. It's a boost, definitely.
And I believe that there's never enough like that you can learn. Like it's so good to always continue, like keep learning. Like I think sometimes we get stuck in like, oh, I'm not in school anymore, why should I read, why should I do that? Like no, it's actually really good. Like earlier you mentioned YouTube University, like hop on there, like learn a new skill. It's not like, it might be hard because obviously sometimes we work and like we have a million things to do. But, you know, sometimes if we're scrolling on our phone, like, why can't we just learn new things or even books, like read and get more knowledgeable? Yeah.
A fool is somebody who believes they know everything. And the more, you know, the more you learn, the more you can expand even like what you've already have.
Yeah.
You can go back into it and be like, I didn't know I could do this with it. I didn't know that I can make it this, because it's constantly getting more information, and we're living in a blissful time that like we can go and figure something out like this.
Yeah, especially now with technology,
with everything.
Yeah.
And I remember there's an episode of How I Met Your Mother where they're like, they have a conversation in between friends of what's the most famous food in the world, and they go into this detailed like long hour talk of like, no, it has to be this because there's a population of this, and then it switches to the scene where now they're in a more advanced like years, probably like a couple years later, where they're on their phones, and one of them's like, the most famous food in the world is bread, and like everybody just kind of like, okay. Like, and they lose that sense of like curiosity of, you know, it could go both ways, but I love that now maybe it doesn't have to go from like somebody that's uncredible. Now you can go and really find this out and learn ways to implement it, learn ways to fix whatever you were looking up.
That's true.
It's going good and bad with technology. Some things could be really bad with it.
Technology, but you know, we live in a world where we can't stay ignorant to it, because even not trying to downplay our parents, but even our parents are like, how do you do this, how do you do that, like,
and you see limit being put now if you don't follow that part.
Exactly, especially with like even AI and stuff, like
you gotta be truchas, because these things are gonna these scams are getting smart. They're getting smart.
The scams are getting wild. Like they're getting bad. But
and if you, like you said, if you don't have that like kind of like thought of like this could happen, because to them they'll be like, this is in the movies, that nobody will ever track my voice and replace it. And then you're getting that call like, hey, tenemos a tu hija, and then you're like, fuck, they got his ass, and you're paying this money.
Yeah, that's very.
Because I've heard of that. I've heard of like a dad who got that phone call, and he's like, let me just call my son. He calls him up. The kid's at fucking school. He's like, what the fuck? I'm in class. And he's like, this motherfucker. Like, if he would have paid it, he would have fucking like, you know, lost hella money.
I have heard of that. That's so scary though.
And with technology, it also helps in the business, like you said, through marketing, through like the amount of time that people spend on their phones. It could be used to your advantage at a certain point.
For sure. Like I think it does make it a lot easier for sure to use. Like now you can, like for me, I go on Canva, which
nice.
I love Canva so good.
That's where I made one of my other logos.
Yeah, so you could use the Canva like either free or pro, but really, really good program to use. So
shout out Canva. Yeah, and that's another little tip for you guys. A lot of game being put on.
No, for sure. You can, like, Canva is crazy. Like, you could go on there. You can do logos and websites or invitations, whatever you could think of or you want to make. You just have the creativity to like be on there, and like the patience to create something as well.
That's true. But, give yourself the time to be creative too. It doesn't all happen like that.
But if you go on there, like now there's a bunch of like templates and stuff, and like you just choose one and go with it and like fill it in, and it's super easy.
This could also go to the point of it's not hard anymore. There's no excuse that I can't do this. I'm not a designer, a logo designer anymore. This is easy. You can do it with a lot, or you can do it with a little bit. It's an era of like, there's not a lot of limitations now. You see people getting famous off of just making pizzas at home or doing something. There's a lot to do, and there's a lot to do with. It just takes that step. That's the hardest part. The physical part of it, of getting up to do it. That's what took me forever. I had this in mind for months. And you even feel guilty looking at everything sitting, and you're just kind of like, fuck, like it's just me not
Yeah.
doing it, because now there's no excuse.
Like I have everything, and it's like
I
just
have
chilling
everything.
there. It's
And,
collecting
yeah.
dust. Yeah.
So it
That's
does take a
true.
long time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. With going back now, maybe in your head, now that you're having to kind of relive those
Yeah.
moments, what's kind of something that you would want to give somebody that's watching today, like a tip or advice when they're starting, maybe not in the photography, but just their own business or that adventure of being an entrepreneur?
I think just starting sooner than you think. Like, I think that's like the big takeaway that I would take into my life if I were to go back 10 years. I was 17. To just start sooner. Like, don't overthink it. Just start with what you can, and like it'll go from there for sure. Because a lot of the times, well, not even a lot of the times, it's just like the time will pass anyway. That's like the quote I try to live by, is like, if you want to go back into school, the time is going to pass by anyway. 5 years are going to pass by.
That is true.
You could have been graduated already, you know? So you never know also what's at the end of like I know that sounds so cliche.
But at the end of like that vision that you had.
Yeah, you don't know. Like, if you don't take that risk, if you don't step out of that comfort zone, if you don't have that consistency, then like you're never going to know what it was to get there. And that goes with everything hand in hand, because even with working out, you know, you make a 12-week, 8-week program, you know, you cut out certain calories and you start working out, and, you know, you go by from day 1 to day, what is it, like 100, I would say. Like, what's gonna be the difference? So same thing with goes into business, like from day 1 to day 100, like what's gonna be the difference? So I think just and then also just not overthinking things, you know, and having faith in yourself for sure.
Putting yourself in a situation that hasn't even occurred yet. Is also a big one.
Because I think we get into like our heads a lot for sure.
Now, one more thing before we go, I feel like with you probably show a lot. You show a lot of self-development, and that is through hard work, through being adventurous, curious, and actually executing plans that you have. Now that you have a little girl, now that you're older, what's the importance of being individual to your own personality? Like, how do you find that importance, and how do you find that you might translate that to her?
Okay, so like as being her mom,
how important is it to be an individual? Find your individuality and love that you are your own person. You don't belong to him, her, nobody.
Right.
And how important is that in your life?
Well, I think I find it important because it might sound weird, but like a lot of the times, especially in the Hispanic community, I do see like a lot of moms, especially our mom's generation, they've lost themselves in motherhood. And sometimes they wake up and like all they think about is like their kids, and which is great, you know. That's what I think. Like, I wake up, my baby's
Obviously,
there.
you have to.
Yeah, but if you don't I believe if you don't pour into your own self, into your own development, you can't pour into other people. Like, you can't.
That is true.
Yeah, like you can't work on other people. If I'm not taking care of myself, how am I gonna take care of my daughter? And that's not saying like physically, like, you know, care of her and like change her diaper and feed her. I'm saying more so like in the emotional aspect. Like, if I'm not sleeping my 7 to 8 hours, if I'm not like eating right, or being just like emotionally there for her, then how can I pour that into her, you know?
And also, I feel like when I'm not a parent, I'm not speaking from the perspective of a parent, but it's more of what I've seen is that kids like pay attention a lot to character, to who's guiding them, and they will at some point try to like mimic it.
They do.
So I feel like you carry that responsibility of like what they see, they'll do, and they see me.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not the super sweetest person in the world or like the most perfect mom in the world, but I do try to be like a good person to her, or like, at least not carry the same traumas that our parents gave us, for sure.
Because traumas at the root are all from like a childhood or home-based problem. So
like, even just spending time with her, I think I see it more like in her dad too. Her dad definitely is like
shout out.
Yeah, shout out. He's here with us. But he's such a good dad to her, and you know, I mean, my parents weren't like horrible parents, but they gave us what they could. But you know, for them being immigrants and stuff, like they had to work really, really hard and barely spend time to us. And then most of the time, they didn't really get to know who we were as individuals either.
That's true.
You know, even till this day, I don't think my parents really know who I really am. Like they do hear like, oh, you do photography, cool, but they don't really like know. They probably don't even know my favorite color. You know, so
that is true because it's more to just provide.
Yeah,
you got to provide personality. Provide time,
protection, and financial, and it's just now with little Gami, I just want to provide more of like emotional like connection to her even when she grows up. Like, what can I be here for you? Like, how can I be here for you? You know, instead of her running away to her friends or like her boyfriend or something. Like
if you're gonna ask for help, let it be from somebody that loves you, that knows like has the best of your interest in like in their heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Where could people find you? Where could people contact you?
So you can find me at Maria Cecilia Visuals on Instagram, or you could go to mariaceciliavisuals.mypixieset.com. That's my website.
Nice. We'll put it all right here.
Find my services on there, and if you want to do photo shoot, I do lifestyle, so family, individual, branding. I want to get more into branding this year. And what's the other one? Yeah, family, lifestyle, and branding for sure.
That's good. Those are three really good, solid.
Yeah, I had a niche down because it's photography. You could do anything.
You could go. Yeah, it could go really far.
It could go very
Too far.
Exactly. So I was like, I don't want to go into the car scene. I don't want to do landscaping. There's so much. I knew I love kids and families and stuff. So I had a niche down there, lifestyle, and then of course I eventually want to get more into branding. So yeah, it's been going good. Like I think when you find your niche, it's when it helps a little bit more. That
is what I'm trying to like pin down.
Yeah.
And it is hard because like we said, like in somewhere that you could be really creative, it could get out of your hand where you're like, okay, I'm not really being good at all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving myself the time and the experience to be good at a certain thing. Because if you don't, like, again, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know what you want to do?
Exactly. And I think there's, like, for the photography community, I think there's a photographer for everything.
Definitely. Yeah. There's an eye for everything.
Yeah. So, like, even, like, I see wedding photographers, they have that. And I leave it to them, because I'm like, that's their thing, and I see concert, like, event photography. And I think you do that, right? Like
I'm getting more into that, to the concerts, to the fast moving. I think that's why, again, when you go into like realizing what you want to do, it helps when you're buying equipment. Because that's when I realized like Sony is good for low light.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in a lot of low light scenery. So I got to like be ready for whatever comes my way.
Yeah. Do you want to do videography eventually too?
I'm actually doing, right now we're working on, I've worked on a couple of lives for us. Like we do a lot of like videos when we go on like, when we're traveling, I do a lot of those videos too, capture those moments. But right now, we're actually working on another music video, Carnal, for the song that we just released last month. And we recorded some at an event that we had, at 2 events. And that's going to be part of the video.
Oh, wow.
We had some other shots, some B-rolls going around. We went to studio that we record at in Atlanta. We're doing a lot there. So yeah, I'm bouncing from there. I do want to get into the music video scene because there's a lot of underground rappers. Atlanta is just producing these guys back to back. And what I've noticed is there's a limit to like there's a limit to how many photographers there are in that set.
That's true. Scene. Yeah.
So maybe I'm gonna go into that, dip my toe into that one. Photography is more of like portraits. I do like to work with brands, as in like clothing brands. I do want to get more into that.
I know. I'm actually gonna put you on with this guy, but it's him and his wife. They both have their studio here in Roswell, and I've actually worked in their studio. Shout out Neva Films.
Oh, nice! Shout out.
Yeah, but they're actually really cool, and he works with a lot of brands that do like clothing and like
Clothing.
underground people. So I'll put you on with them too. Yeah,
Nice.
they're really cool.
I feel like we can definitely go into another episode
Mhm.
soon where we can go more now that I know that you're doing. Because, guys, this is catching up. This is us catching up.
Yeah.
We barely got here.
Well, we haven't seen each
This
other in
is
like how long?
A
A
long,
long time. Yeah.
And I hope that, you know, like we could keep doing this because
Yeah.
there's always more to learn. There's always
Oh,
more
yeah.
to share. And there's always more to do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, we'll leave all of your tags at the bottom.
Yes.
I'm probably put like I'm leaving links in my description now,
Yeah.
so you guys look out for that. Ceci, I
Yes.
appreciate you giving me some time.
No,
I
thank you
appreciate
so
coming on the
much.
show. I know maybe there's a lot more that we could do. And
Yeah.
I feel like we'll set that up. This is very approachable. You guys are always welcome again
Thank you.
to come through, and I appreciate you being here, sharing with us.
Thank you, Pepe. Like for sure. You know, you great friend, of course.
I appreciate
Always been a
that.
great friend, but just it's actually funny because I would tell Will, I was like, I actually want to get on a podcast because I talk a lot. I might have came off a little bit more
I do
nervous,
remember
but
that.
I was like, I actually want to go. And now it's funny. I'm like, I'm here and I'm talking to you.
Careful what you wish for, because it'll happen.
No,
It'll
for
happen
sure.
quick.
Yeah.
But you did great. Like I
Yeah,
told
thank
you, I
you.
mean, you get comfortable when you know what you want to talk
Yeah.
about, and I'm very curious, and I feel like people sense that when they speak with me, because I'll ask questions. I'll ask the randomest
No,
of
but you
questions.
do good. Like I even watched your episode with Venom.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, he's like really good at like doing the questions.
I always tell people like the way that you give kind of advice too
Yeah.
as you go. I always tell people like keep your notebook. I honestly didn't even touch half of the questions,
Yeah.
which is why I want to come back to this.
Okay, yeah.
And
sure.
maybe we'll do a different setting. We can try anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad that I found this way to share.
Yeah.
And I feel like people kind of need that. I don't know everything about the industry that I'm in. And
Yeah.
I like that I can find people that, okay, they can tell you. They've
No,
been
and-
here longer
and
than me.
I'm here like if you ever need I think one time you reached out to me to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
background, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you ever need help with anything, like I'm all ears. Like I'm
I
here.
appreciate
Yeah.
Yeah, through you, maybe I've had a lot of other photographer friends. I've realized that people love to share what they learn.
Yeah.
They're not very like that old school mindset of like, no, it took me this long to
Yeah,
get here.
no, or you gotta pay me to no. I definitely think that just having that community of like, cause everybody's different. Like even the girl photographers that are in the community, like they're different. They're different styles. They have different clientele. Like everything is so different. So it doesn't hurt to like share information. Especially now with like how we were talking about social media, like that's what people are on social media for, to learn most of the
true.
time. So it's good to like, you know, share what you know, your knowledge.
To learn and to
Yeah.
find an example, because they have a
Mhm.
thought in their mind.
Yeah.
And now when they see somebody doing and especially living the life that
Yeah.
they want, I feel like it makes, well, it goes both ways. Depends. That's when you find out who you really are. But if you're a doer and you see somebody living the life that you want, I feel like it ignites a fire in you where you're like,
Yeah.
fuck it, I gotta get there
I
too.
gotta do it too.
Or more of
Yeah.
like not discrediting that person, but what the fuck did they got that I don't? You know,
Right.
and that's good to have that. I feel like in
Mhm.
business, that's one thing I always see in a lot of people that are in it, or being an entrepreneur in itself.
Yeah.
You gotta have some sort of ego.
Yeah.
It'll take you a long way, and it assures people that you know what the fuck you on,
Mhm.
you know what you're on, and you know where the fuck you want to go,
Yeah.
and that means business.
Like I always mention, like a lot of the times people just see the tip of the iceberg. They don't really see like what comes at the bottom of it. You know, like
And it looks nice.
It
all
looks
over
nice.
Here, but here,
Yeah.
But this is where you get all of the good stuff. This
Yeah.
is where all of the secrets are in, at
Yeah.
the bottom, at the nasty, and this is where all the grime is at.
Yeah.
But if you don't go that far, you don't know everything.
You don't know.
You don't get to see everything, and you'll
Mhm.
trip up on the easiest things.
That's
Because
true.
experience is gonna really let you know like that rock is coming, but you can step on it this way and get over it.
Yeah.
But without experience, it's going blind into the world at a certain
Yeah.
point. That's great. Once again, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes.
One more episode. This is gonna be, again, like I said, it's not gonna be the last of hearing from Ceci. And I love, like I said, we're gonna get to see more progress within her at the next episode, whatever she's doing. And man, I just hope that you guys get to see this episode and take a lot of knowledge. She gave a lot of fucking game in this episode.
Yeah,
Y'all
I
gotta
think we
listen up.
touched on a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, you get, and like I said, like you're in a position to do so, and I appreciate you giving that away.
Yeah.
To whoever's gonna listen, I bet you they're gonna take this and be like, "Fuck yeah, I got something."
I got something. If she's
gonna be
doing it,
taking
I gotta
notes.
do it too. Yeah.
Definitely, I
For
appreciate
sure.
it. You guys have a good evening, night, whatever you're doing right now. Thank you so much for watching, for your support, and I hope to see you guys soon. Once again, Cecilia Ortiz, guys, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Bye, guys.
That wasn't so bad, right?
No. Gotta take these off now.
Yeah.
Okay. That was good.
Right?
Really-